Thank you for the host's introduction. Please take a break, host. Tonight, continue to discuss the topic of NM's 6 functions. NM has 6 major functions, among them one of which is to promote energy production and endurance. Today, let's talk about the topic of energy. We all know that many friends, after using NMN, they will have such a feeling. They feel that their physical strength has improved and more energy. Why is that? And this change, many friends will find that it happens very quickly. Some may take a few hours, and the slow ones may take a few days. They start to feel that their physical strength has improved, and stronger energy, and so on. The main reason for this actually comes from the energy supply in our body. Our body, it needs energy supply all the time to ensure that we are in a state of survival. This energy supply ultimately comes from a substance which is called adenosine triphosphate, also known as ATP. Is like the energy currency in our body. The food we eat, etc., is converted into energy, which is this ATP. The energy of ATP is then supplied to various parts of our body to allow us to complete various physiological actions and physiological reactions. So the energy of ATP is the fundamental, and almost all animals, the fundamental for survival. Where does this ATP come from? Next to it is a model of a cell. Inside the cell, there are various organelles. Among them, one of which is like a small capsule. We call it mitochondria. This mitochondria is the energy engine in our cells. 95% of our cells' energy comes from mitochondria, is aerobic metabolism. The so-called aerobic metabolism is oxygen and glucose. In such an organelle, a chain reaction occurs, which generates a large amount of energy. This reaction, we call it the tricarboxylic acid cycle. The tricarboxylic acid cycle can be said to be the nightmare. A nightmare in the course of biochemistry, because when we study biochemistry, we are required to memorize the tricarboxylic acid cycle. The tricarboxylic acid cycle presented to you now is actually a simplified diagram. The whole process is very complex. In the process of this tricarboxylic acid cycle, oxygen and glucose, firstly, produces a substance called acetyl coenzyme A. Then this acetyl coenzyme A goes through such a continuous cycle process. It produces ATP, and then energy is produced. In the entire cycle process, we will find that there is a familiar figure, which is identified by the purple arrow, which is called NAD+. You can see here, there is a step, 2 steps, 3 steps. In fact, in the process of forming acetyl coenzyme A, there is a hidden step. All require the participation of NAD+ to make the whole process of energy production become complete. Everyone should know that the supply of ATP in our body cannot be interrupted for a moment. If the energy supply in our body, the production of ATP, is interrupted, then we will die soon. In the process of producing ATP, except for the middle ones and other compounds involved, ID+ is a very important coenzyme. It is like a switch, controls the efficiency of the entire 3-3-3 cycle. As for this NAD+, some of you may know that ID+ is the most important coenzyme. This coenzyme, it will decrease with age. In our body, it will drop sharply. It will decrease by about half every 20 years. At the age of 40, only 25%, and only about 12.5% at 60. The decline in AD+ levels will lead to a decrease in the efficiency of the tricarboxylic acid cycle. So we will find that, as we age, our physical condition, energy level, and energy supply is far inferior to that of our youth. This is directly related to the decline in AD level. Can we directly supplement AD+? The answer is no, because NAD+ is a macromolecular substance. It cannot directly penetrate cells and absorbed by our body. So NMN is needed at this time. From all the research, NMN is currently the most efficient. It can enhance the way of improving AA+. So there is a very close relationship between NMN. NMN has 6 major functions. Where does this statement come from? It actually comes from the American Doctor's Drug Guide. The American Doctor's Drug Guide, its abbreviation is PDR. The NMN of iHealth Company is the first brand in the world to enter the PDR. This is the NMN Gene Balance Capsule of iHealth. It's a screenshot in the PDR, which shows its 6 major functions. It shows 6 functions, including supporting longevity. The immune system, promotes energy production and endurance, promotes metabolic optimization, support heart health, and cognitive function. The first 2 functions we have already talked about. Today, we will talk about the third function, promote energy production and endurance. For NMN, it has a dual path to increase energy. The first path is called the direct pathway, as we just mentioned, which is actually a direct path. By supplementing NMN, we can increase the level of ID+. Then, can accelerate the entire tricarboxylic acid cycle, thus increasing the supply of ATP. In the short term, you will find that our physical strength has become stronger and endurance has improved. Before, many friends who liked to run marathons, when they were running marathons, used our Youth Spring effervescent tablets because it contains a lot of NMN and electrolytes. After using these effervescent tablets, he will find that it can greatly improve their endurance in sports. After running, even after running a full marathon, he won't be particularly tired and it's easy to recover. This is actually related to this direct pathway. It's very fast. It can quickly achieve such a supplement effect. There is another way, is called the indirect pathway. This indirect pathway is also due to NMN. After it increases ID+ level, it can activate the SIR family genes in our body. The SIR family genes, also known as longevity protein genes. These genes, each of its genes has many functions. Among them, there is a gene. For example, the one gene, it helps repair mitochondria. And the mitochondria, we know mitochondria, as we just mentioned, is the engine in our cells, the most crucial place for energy production. In fact, in our cells, each cell has a large number of mitochondria. For ordinary cells, may have hundreds of mitochondria. For example, cardiomyocytes, cells that need to move all the time. In these cells, can have thousands of mitochondria in a cell. These mitochondria are constantly producing energy, providing us with such energy supply to ensure that our myocardium constantly can continuously produce energy. All of us. And these mitochondria, in the process of continuous work, it also produces some so-called waste, which are free radicals. These free radicals can cause damage to mitochondria. After being damaged, mitochondria may not work, or even be scrapped. The damaged mitochondria can actually be repaired. During the repair process, the SIR gene family is required. When we increase the level of ADR after this gene is activated, it can help repair mitochondria, thus enhancing the function of mitochondria. So this indirect pathway is in the case of long-term anti-aging. Provides us with a better, such an energy homeostasis. That is to say, after using NMN for a period of time, the energy boost we achieve will be long-term stable, even if we occasionally 1 or 2 meals or skip a day or 2, we will still maintain a certain energy state level. It is different from the so-called stimulants or energy supply agents. is different. It's completely different. What is this equivalent to? It is equivalent to improving the quality of our energy engine, and even increases the number of our energy engines. In addition, and efficiency of the engine. The combination of several links, allowing our body's energy to be enhanced, thus making us feel that, after using IMAX, you will find that your energy is better than before. Your physical strength is stronger. Many partners have reflected that before using IMAX, climbing stairs, he felt out of breath when climbing to the second floor. They might need to take a break, but after using IMAX for a while, he found that he had unknowingly reached the fourth or fifth floor. But they still don't feel particularly tired. These are the real feedback from our partners. Now, as we all know, iCan Company is conducting a product testimony collection. Friends who have similar feelings and experiences are welcome to participate in this witness collection. Of course, we must adhere to the principle of truth and objectivity to express your true feelings. It's about the dual path of NMN to enhance energy. Is this path true or false? Is there any scientific basis for it? What is the most important thing for us doctors? Evidence-based medicine. Is there any evidence of evidence-based medicine? Next, let's take a look. In the world's in some core medical journals, we can see if there is any relevant evidence. We know that NMN is related to energy metabolism. Has a major relationship with. It is the basis of all physiological functions. It is the foundation of all physiological functions. And this metabolism, it is the fundamental basis of our bodies. The fundamental basis. In this, ID+ is the core coenzyme of energy metabolism. It plays an important role in mitochondria. And NMN, it enhances metabolism by increasing ID+ levels and improving physical ability. Let's take a look at NMN promotes energy production and endurance. A review of relevant literature. Let's first look at the first article. It's from the Journal of Advanced Research. This is an article. This one, its title, called NMN as an Anti-Aging Health Products, Promise and Safety Concerns. This article, it was published relatively recently, in 2022. It's a very important article. In this article, what it shows is that the link between AD+ levels and energy production has been fully confirmed. The decrease in ID+ will lead to a downregulation of mitochondrial energy production, which leads to aging and various age-related diseases. This is a fact. Then, NMN supplements can restore NAD+ levels to offset this decline, thus supporting efficient energy production. This article can be said to is very representative. Let's take a look. What kind of authors wrote this article? Let's translate the author and translate it. You will find that this is a world-class collaboration. Such an article, it includes New Zealand's and our countries, and also from Auckland, jointly conducted this research. In this research, in our country, including Xinjiang University, Shanghai Jiaotong University, and Shenzhen University, Shaanxi Normal University, and so on, Nanchang University, and so on. This, scientists from all over the world jointly conducted such a research report. It clearly shows that NMN supplements can restore voltage levels to offset the decline in energy production. It's such an article. Okay, next, let's look at the second article. This second article was also published in 2022. It was published in the Journal of Gerontology. The title of this article is called NMN Supplement in Healthy Middle-Aged Adults and Its Efficacy and Safety. What did it do? A randomized, multi-center, double-blind, placebo-controlled, a parallel group, dose-dependent clinical trial. There are many key words. What do these key words represent? I'll simply I'll give you a brief explanation. One is a randomized experiment. Randomized multi-center experiment can be said to be, in scientific experiments, we say the most important keyword. The experiment is random and multi-center. It won't say that. I know in advance which group is like, because it is double-blind and at the same time and placebo control, and so on. As for this experiment, is it very important for our entire evidence from the perspective of evidence-based medicine? Is very important evidence. So what does this experiment show? This experiment, it shows that the effect of NMN on endurance is very important. This supplement in a mouse model increased the running endurance of aging mice. Doubled. The endurance increased by half. What does this indicate? It shows that my physical ability has been directly improved. And this research, what is this research? Yes, is being transformed into a clinical trial in humans. This is also very important. Such a clinical experiment. This experiment also comes from an international joint research. Such a research. There are Americans and the Netherlands, Amsterdam, Sports Science, and the Free University of Amsterdam, from Singapore, and China, from Zhejiang Province, China, and Zhejiang University, and so on, from Shanghai and India. These scientists have collaborated on this, and also jointly, such a preclinical study. This one can be said to be a heavyweight study. A heavyweight study on M. The third one. This article is from a website. This website, called Inside Tricker. This is a website. In this website, published an article. It says a new study found that NMN supplements can improve the endurance and energy indicators of amateur runners. Everyone found that. This is not a magazine. It's a website. What's the difference between this website and a magazine? In fact, this website is very powerful. And this website, it's from Harvard University, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and Tufts University. Was founded in 2009. Among the founders actually includes, we are familiar with, Dr. David Sinclair. So although it is a website, the articles published on this website are also of a very high level. So what does this article show? It shows that NMN supplements improves the endurance of amateur runners because it directly relates to performance in sports. So this discovery is very important. And it was in 2024. A discovery that is very close to the present. As for this, we also know that marathon is very popular in China. Who like to run marathons. Soon, in late April, there will be a marathon in Dalian, and our health-loving friends come to Dalian to run the marathon. This study shows that NMN supplement, it has a very important effect on the endurance, has a very important improvement effect. So our marathon runners and friends who like to run marathons can all use this NMN. Okay, the fourth article. The fourth article is still from a website. This website is called Definite. This article talks about the scientific study of men. What does science say? This is called, The title, when translated, is a bit awkward. In fact, what it means is what? In sports, what kind of performance it has. This article was published in 2025. The study shows that men can improve endurance during performance during moderate intensity exercise and post-exercise recovery. Please note there is a key word here, during moderate intensity exercise. Friends who have listened to my lectures before may be familiar with, in the process of health management, recommend that you do moderate intensity exercise. Are moderate intensity exercises. And here, it clearly shows that NMN has a good effect on moderate intensity exercise. It has a good helping effect. What is moderate intensity exercise? If calculated by heart rate, it generally refers to 170, subtracting the age, which is called moderate intensity heart rate. For example, if I'm 50 years old, when my heart rate is around 120, it is a moderate intensity exercise. Or, when we are exercising, we can speak easily, but not sing. This intensity is called moderate intensity exercise. This article also suggests that NMN may be particularly helpful for endurance. Athletes can improve aerobic capacity, utilization of oxygen, and metabolic efficiency, which are crucial for sustained physical activity. This website. It's also a website. It's not a magazine. It's also a website. What's the secret of this website? The website's the developer, his identity, the first commercial ID plus detection technology. The developer of this website. So this website, in the NMN field, it can be said to be very prestigious. Such a website, so the articles published on this website are very persuasive. Next, let's take a look at the fifth article. The fifth article was published in NPG Engine, Natural Cooperation Journal for Aging Research. It was written by Japanese scholars. Its name is called long-term supplementation will increase the levels of nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide levels and change muscle function. The nicotine adenine dinucleotide, nicotinamide adenine is actually the NAD+ level in the elderly population. NMN also shows promise. This report, long-term attention, long-term oral NMN supplementation, improved muscle strength and performance of healthy elderly men. This study focused on the muscle strength of healthy elderly men. Although the improvement was only partial, it also shows that NMN may reduce age-related, the decline of physical function. In fact, there are also some related studies that show that NMN is very effective for sarcopenia. That is, after people reach old age, the muscles will be lost. For this kind of sarcopenia in the elderly is very effective. So, this NPG Aging. It is a book in the field of aging research, very authoritative, and has a very high influence. The impact factor of this journal, we checked and found that the latest one, its impact factor can reach more than 10 points. The impact factor of this paper, which is also a very high level. This is published in this article. In this article, we can see that the authors are all from Japan. From the University of Tokyo, Mount Fuji University, Mitsubishi Corporation, Life Science Corporation, and so on, related to such research published by these scientists. Next, let's look at the fifth and sixth articles. It's the sixth article. The sixth article, it was published in 2024. It was published in the Journal of Medical Science. The title of this article is called The Improvement of Physical Performance Indicators in Patients Taking NMN. It is a systematic review of randomized controlled trials. Systematic review. There are also randomized controlled trials, randomized controlled experiments, double-blind experiments, and so on among medical workers. Are very familiar with them. That is to say, these experiments are very objective. Such an experiment. So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is that NMN supplements with physical strength and aerobic exercise performance are significantly related to improvement and well tolerated. That is to say, the improvement is acceptable and it has good tolerance. It can always maintain such a state of improvement. Although not all parameters were statistically significant, but the trend indicates that there is a positive impact. What does it mean? In his experiment, because they are indicators of physical performance, he measured a lot of indicators. Among these indicators, some indicators, especially those related to physical aerobic exercise, improved significantly. But there were also some indicators that did not improve significantly. Some of them were statistically significant, and some were not. But there are statistically significant. This part has a positive impact. That's what it means. Okay, next, let's look at the 7th article. The 7th article is from the journal Advance in Nutrition. Nutrition, a journal called. What is the name of this article published in this journal? Called The Safety and Anti-Aging Effects of NMN and Anti-Aging Effects, the latest progress. That is to say, in the human clinical trials. Its safety and anti-aging effects, the latest progress. It was reported in 2023. This one is from our country by domestic scientists. Published an article. In this article, it shows that, for healthy volunteers, several NMN clinical trials showed that NMN during exercise training increased aerobic capacity. What is the so-called aerobic capacity? As we just talked about, the process of oxygen in our body to produce ATP. This is called aerobic capacity. This is consistent with the view that can improve mitochondrial function and oxygen utilization. With the view before and after can be linked together. This article, it's from our Zhejiang province, Hangzhou Normal University, Medical School of Zhejiang University, and this Zhejiang University School of Medicine jointly to conduct such a study. This research also received the National Natural Science Foundation of China and the support of Zhejiang Provincial Natural Science Fund and the Zhejiang Provincial Health Commission and the Zhejiang Provincial Health Commission. Similar correlation studies in our country is very important from the national to the provincial level. This kind of research, this is the 7th one. Okay, let's move on to the 8th article. This article is published in the Nutritionist journal. Please note that, generally, in the international community, the shorter the journal's name is, the more the journal's name, the higher the influence is. For example, Science, Nature, Cell, and Nutria Nutritions. Nutrients. In this article, what is the name of the article published? It's called 12 Weeks of Nicotinamide Mononucleotide, which is AMN. The impact of 12 weeks of intake of AMN on sleep quality, fatigue, and physical performance. This is a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled study. What did the study find? That the intake of AMN has a positive impact and physical performance. This is not only in terms of simple exercise, but also sleep, anti-fatigue, and so on, have a very positive impact. In this study, I found a sentence. When I was browsing this article, I found a sentence which is very interesting. This study shows that eating MN in the morning and in the afternoon for the lower limb function and sleep, the impact, it was found that if they take MN in the afternoon, that is, taking M and N can more effectively improve the lower limb function of the elderly and reduce sleepiness. If we want to improve lower limb function or change the sleep state, for sleep state, we usually take EM in the afternoon is better than taking it in the morning. What is the usual recommended time for taking EM? Is when? Do you remember? It's half an hour to an hour after lunch. In fact, it is 6 hours after waking up. It's better to take it, and the time emphasized in it is basically consistent. These studies have shown that AMN in preventing physical performance loss and improving fatigue has potential. This is also from Japan. Such a research. This study, we can see that this is also the first Japanese university to participate in universities related to the NMN research in Japan. The studies they published, the entire research, can be said to be, is very orderly. Such a kind of inheritance. Research with such a inheritance. The last one, let's take a look. This one is from the International Journal of Gerontology and Geriatrics. Is an article. What is its name? It's called Nicotinamide Mononucleotide, which is AMN, the impact on elderly diabetic patients and physical performance. It's called a prospective placebo-controlled double-blind study. What is a prospective study? A prospective study. Before I did this study, I have this design. When I was designing, I need to find what impact NMN has on our body. This is called a prospective study. There is also a corresponding one called a retrospective study. What is a retrospective study? It means that these people have used M for a long time. Then I collect the information about their usage to review. How about those who used M? And how about those who didn't use it? This is called a retrospective study. This is a prospective study. From a scientific point of view, prospective studies are often more pioneering. So what does this study show? It shows that it's about patients with diabetes and impaired physical function in elderly patients. It shows that NMN, by enhancing oxygen utilization in skeletal muscle to increase aerobic capacity during exercise training. In addition to increasing aerobic capacity, on the one hand, it can enhance our body's exercise capacity. On the other hand, for the whole blood sugar metabolism, it is also very helpful. We have read nearly 10 articles, a total of 9 articles, and the scientific principles, analysis, and interpretation. We know that NMN, for our whole energy production and endurance, and the performance of our whole body function, performance, is very positive. It also has very sufficient evidence. I also look forward to bring more help to our friends and physical condition. Bring more help. Today, our topic sharing will end here. Give the microphone to the host.